Welcome to the Serenity Wealth Now show with Chris Cooper. This is not your typical financial show. As a CPA, licensed insurance agent, and investment advisor, Chris brings the financial conversation to life, where the numbers really matter. Every week, Chris sits down with someone from the community to find the financial lessons hiding in their story. Now, here's your financial friend, Chris Cooper.
All right. Good morning, folks. We are going to talk about real estate today. And so in studio with me, we've got Roy Doskal, RGD Realty. How are you, Roy?
I'm doing wonderful, man.
Yeah. Well, it's getting warmer outside. It's real estate market's heating up. Did it really ever soften up, though? It really never cooled down either, did it?
No, I mean, we're going through a little bit of a wonky stage now,
Yeah.
I'd say. First quarter for me was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then just speaking on my behalf,
Yeah.
things are a little slower right now.
Okay. Is it inventory or what's the deal?
I just think there's some uncertainties.
Oh, yeah. Well, all the markets with uncertainty don't behave well.
Right.
I feel the same thing. So
Right.
There's a lot of concern out there, right? And gas prices and conflicts in the Middle East don't necessarily affect us here in St. Charles, Missouri, in many ways, but we feel it. And therefore, it does impact our thought process.
Absolutely. I would say, yeah, in the Midwest, I mean, we're still the cheapest area to live.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of downturn.
We're isolated, from a lot of different things too. So
Yeah, but it's still consumer confidence comes in different ways.
It
right?
does.
And it depends on how you're feeling.
That's
how
right.
things are going.
Yeah.
How confident are you?
Yeah.
So,
And it changes our behavior. It changes our perception. And therefore it kind of, I think, tempers our ability to make good long-term decisions. We kind of put everything on pause while we just kind of say, let's wait it out.
yeah. Well, and some people have compelling reasons to make this.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So maybe they have to buy their first home. Maybe they have to do a move down.
Well, I think that's a great, I was kind of wondering, what is the best time to, buy or sell or move in general? And I think that's a very different answer for everybody.
Yeah. You mean, okay. Yeah. For your own personal.
Yeah.
reason,
Like,
why you
yeah.
move. Well, I mean, obviously, people downsize, people
Yeah.
move up, families grow.
And there's no season to those kind of things. Those happen when you need them to occur.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, death, divorce, job relocation. I mean, there's
Sure.
a lot of things that would make you move and not a season that you might not.
Right. Because people tend to think that the real estate market gets hotter in the spring, summer type of time frame. And I think that's a little bit of a misconception at times too.
It is, but I would say for the masses,
Yeah.
you do see things, and people get busy during the holidays, right?
Right.
The ones you're going to have out during that time is going to be not your tire kickers. That's going to be the ones that are serious. They've
Right.
got a compelling reason they want to
Sure.
move at a certain time. But yeah, once you start getting into, March, April, May,
Yeah.
all the way through, you have July's tends to be a little bit dead because everybody's on vacations, and
Right.
you have August is really hot because
Yeah.
people are wanting to get their kids into school.
Right. Right before the school season starts.
Yeah,
That makes
yeah.
sense.
So,
Yeah.
so,
And I think that also
historically-
kind of depends on the type of home you're buying into too, the community, right?
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, and what's available in
Yeah.
whatever community you're looking for.
So how does inventory look right now in the area?
It's still a little slow, I think.
Okay.
I mean, and I'll give you an example. In St. Charles County, in particular, I mean, if you're looking at 325, 350 to 425, 450,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's something that you can drop your furniture in, it's gonna look like an estate sale.
Okay.
No,
So you're going to get a lot of activity for that price range, but people have this we're still picky buyers. Is that what I'm hearing?
those are going to be what I meant by if you can drop your furniture in, if everything's good,
Move in ready.
Move in ready.
Yeah.
Those
go fast.
Those go fast and they go competitive.
Okay.
Outside of that, yes, I still think that people get pickier, right?
Okay.
With rates being where they're at, you just don't have a lot of extra cash flow left over after you
Sure.
put money down to put some investments or get some, kitchen updates, bathroom updates, that kind of thing that you would normally sweat equity.
Yeah.
for.
So inventory means that's pretty low then. And that right house that's priced right in that price range that has the ability to have somebody kind of that move in ready quote thing, right? That we always say. Those houses go real quick
Real quick. Yeah.
and get competitive, like you're saying.
Right. Yeah.
So you got to know that.
Yep. And when you're doing that, you're not just doing price, you're doing a lot of different terms, conditions, and that kind of thing with your offers.
Now, are you still at a point now where, you're having to, waive contingencies, waive appraisals, waive inspections, all that kind of stuff?
On those, absolutely.
So it depends on where you are, right?
Yeah.
So I think as a seller, if you're hearing this message, then you want your house to be one of those. You want to make sure it looks high quality, is high quality, and has that ability to appeal to that move-in ready crowd.
Absolutely. And that also comes down with the guidance that you'll have from a professional realtor before you list.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. What can you do to make sure that it has that feel and that appeal where you get that wow factor right when you walk in?
Well, I would say that, I'm not sure if a lot of agents notice this as buyer agents, but, when we're trying to put things in compartment of best return on the investment, you're looking at, I always say sexy, not sexy money.
Okay.
I've said that on this once before, but, a lot of people begin to look at things and go, okay, well, the roof's in good condition. It's only 5 years old.
Okay.
Windows are in good condition. That's always good stuff, right? Heating and cooling, electric, that kind of thing. So I think if you get to that point and okay, well, the house is solid. I'm not going to get hit with anything in my budgets that's something that I have to do that doesn't really raise a lot of value.
Sure.
Then sometimes they can look over other things, I think, in the house, if they want to do a little kitchen update or whatever.
Which people are going to do anyway, right? Because the colors or whatever, it's just not your...
Oh, man, I'll tell you what, though. The colors, I think, is something that a lot of people they just can't...
get hung up on?
They get hung up, but they don't have the vision. They don't have the vision to understand that even most of the time you build a semi-custom home or whatever, you're getting a standard color. You're not typically paying for the upgraded colors in every room, right? So it's kind of the same thing. You can cover up paint and change it dramatically.
And sometimes I think that makes it your home, so that never really bothered me too much, but you still have to make sure it's a color where people can see themselves into, if you will.
Yeah. And I think that that's part of having a good buyer agent is to help them have that vision and see the value in a home.
Sure.
And then understand what they may not see of values on changing things.
Right.
I mean, their buyer math could be a lot different on what it costs to paint a room versus what if you're in like us as a small boutique brokerage and we do flips, we have rentals and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We have people in our network that do work for us. We have values. We're flipping a house right now that we're putting 85,000 into. So we have set values on spreadsheets that we have, and we know exactly how much our guys can paint that room.
Well, and you're hinting at something else here that I call the Rolodex, which is the contact list that you have of all the different things available, to make sure that people, when you're selling a house or when you're buying a house, you're moving in, you're trying to figure out how to make it yours. There's all kinds of little things. So I use my Rolodex all the time. It's really yours, but I call it mine because now I have access to it. But it's important to have all those contacts along the way to make sure things can get done smoothly.
I take that as a big honor to have it as the Rolodex.
Yeah, it's
right?
the Rolodex, man.
Yeah.
You see what I did there? It's because Rolodex. You get that right. I think it's funny.
I had another person tell me that it was Roy's World.
Nice.
So really what it is though is I'm only as good on those aspects as my network is.
Sure.
And I mean, that's one thing. If you're ever interviewing agents, you ask them what kind of network they have of professionals that get things done.
Because, not everything always goes smoothly, does it?
No. Yeah.
So you hit on a few different things, and when I sold my house, you encouraged me to change the windows, and I hated doing it like a lot. But it does make a difference because we had some broken seals. We had a few of them. And buyers know that. Buyers see that, and they don't want that. Doesn't make your house one of those things that has a move-in ready. It gives them a project. And we don't like projects, right? We don't want to buy a new project. We want those bones to be intact. So we did take your advice on that because I knew that was important to me. I wanted a stress-free transaction. And so you encouraged me to get that done, and I did. But we used your Rolodex to do that, and it got done quickly, smoothly, easily. And guess what? It was one less item on an inspection that had to come up and I had to talk about.
Well, if you also remember right, you wanted to redo your kitchen, and I told you that.
Yeah.
at this point, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
You have some blown seals. I think we should repurpose that money.
That's right.
Windows. Yes.
Well, you did that before we were looking at selling the house for sure. So,
and the great thing with that is again, it comes down to buyer's math, right?
Right.
If that's going to come up on your inspection, it could be something that actually turns them away.
Yeah.
A lot of times they don't necessarily really know, is it a Provia window? Is it a Pella window? Is it a penny window? What window is it? It's
Sure.
just, they're new windows, right?
Yeah.
And they're still going to give you some good life,
Yeah.
but it's something that you're not going to have to deal with as if you're buying a brand new house,
Right.
You're having a new house build. What's the benefit of having a new house build? Well, I don't have to worry about windows, heating and cooling, roof,
Right. Roof,
all those
warranty, sewage, right?
sewage,
All the things.
all those non-sexy things are already
Yeah.
taken care of, right?
Yeah.
now, you know?
Yeah. So, and then you also hit on roof. And I think that's a big one, especially in this area. We're kind of in that storm season right now, right? And we actually just talked about storm damage and roof repairs and those kinds of things. It's important to understand the age, the damage of what you're buying here, because it's an asset. It's a big asset. And it also provides a roof over your head. Last thing you want to do is move in and find out you got to replace your roof.
Exactly. And, just because you might say, okay, well, the roof's only 5 years old. Okay. Case in point, most architectural roofs could be, well, they'll say that they're 20, 25-year roofs, but
Yeah.
any roofer you talk to now is going to tell you that roofs are wearing prematurely
Yeah.
on the crazy weather conditions that we've had. I've heard one roofer tell me that we're in El Nino season, so that could be another
Okay.
2 years or so.
Yeah.
Even if it's 5 years old, it could have had hail damage.
Right.
Right.
Especially in this area.
Yeah. So I think it's always important. I mean, as far as me too, whenever I'm buying a home as is, because we do that, we're a small boutique brokerage.
Yeah.
We sit down with families going through whatever, whether it's divorce, probate. Sometimes we look at their stuff and go, they may think that they have to sell it to an investor or a wholesaler, but we take a look at it and go, hey man, we just clean this out and give it occupancy. It might actually do better for you.
Mhm.
But if not, I'll buy it. But before I ever buy anything myself, my rule of thumb is I want to know the condition of the roof, which I can't see.
Yep.
And then I want to have the opportunity to have my guys come run a camera in the sewer lateral line so that I know
Okay.
what that is. Because those are two big expenses that can hit you later.
Yeah.
Whether you're buying as an investor and now you're trying to turn a profit and that could really eat into the profit within the first 2-3 months,
Right.
or if you just bought the home, right? I mean, what do I want to do with $9,000? I want to put it into a patio or I want something else, right? That's
Absolutely.
fun. I don't want to put it into a collapsed line underneath my house.
Well, yeah, you're not going to look at the things above you. You can't see the things below you. You can't see. You're going to live right in the middle of both those things, but they also are the things that keep you dry and the things that keep your foundation strong. So,
And as long as they're working, we take them for granted.
we do take them for granted. Absolutely. And I think that's even more important with older homes because I know my parents had some issues with, the old clay pipes and things that they used to have. And then that's a homeowner's responsibility until it gets a certain distance away from the house.
And every municipality is different.
Yeah.
There's sewer lateral line programs, and a good agent, in whatever area you're at is going to know what the different programs are in different
Sure.
areas as they're out trying to help advise someone on what they're
Sure.
buying. A lot of them do cover from the house out to the main. You're in my subdivision. We're our own village. We have no sewer lateral line program.
Yeah.
So therefore, when I bought my house and I was going to put a patio in and I did a locate on my clay pipe where it was
Yep.
at, I knew it was in good shape. I did another locate. It went 15 foot deep down. Another area is 44 feet long. And I was going to put a 30 by 30 patio right over top of it. So what did I do? I did what a mature guy will do. I spent mature money
Yeah.
and I had the whole line sleeved.
Yeah.
Just to future proof it,
Sure.
So
Yeah.
maybe that's not what you always do, but that's just,
That's what Roy does when he thinks about these kind of things.
What? If you call me up and you want to talk about what improvements you're doing on your house,
Yeah.
that's the kind of in-depth look that I'll be doing.
Well, I think that you make an interesting point there because, there's real estate professionals out there that are real estate professionals. And sometimes they're, part-time folks, sometimes they're full-time folks, but the full-time ones know a lot of these things. But I think one of the things that you bring to the table also is that investor background. You know what to look for. You know what's going to cost money when you buy a property to either flip it or rent it. And ultimately, that knowledge translates to somebody that's looking to purchase because, quite frankly, they're going to be the ones on the hook for that money. If it's not, if it happens.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, whatever you're doing with an investment with a home, I mean, I will tell people this, that sometimes when it's your home, it's your primary home.
Yeah.
It's an investment, but do we always look at it as an investment, right? There's certain
that's
things.
a whole argument, right?
Yeah.
Some people do. I do. I think it's part of your asset. I mean, I put it on my client's list with their net worth for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But some people look at it like, I'm living there,
But you're not going to put an in-ground pool in for to build the investment.
Right.
That's for your pleasure, right?
Of course.
So
Those don't increase the value, I don't think, do they?
Well, sure, but not at the
same level.
Dollar on dollar.
So yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you gotta look at all those kind of things, even as when you're trying to be competitive on a house. I mean, if a house checks all the boxes, and it's going to go competitive, and you might have to go another 10 or 20, you as that consumer has to make that decision, and I help guide them through that. I always joke, like I won the lottery. My wife isn't into jewelry or anything like that. Some like Coach purses, they can spend $5-6 on a purse, to carry a little bit of money and some makeup. Well, same thing with a house, I mean, if it checks off every box, and if it's the inventory is low enough and you just want to finish that rat race of your life and get back into a home, sometimes it's just where you're putting your money at, where you're spending the money, So
now, are there certain price points that are more competitive in the markets today than others?
Well, obviously earlier what we were talking about is, that 325, 350 to 450, at least in our market out here that we're seeing.
It's probably different in California and stuff like that.
It can even be different around here. I mean,
that's true too.
You go to Kirkwood, where people are tearing homes down because the land is so scarce, and what they want, and they want to be there. That's the other thing. That's an area people want to be. They either grew up there, they love it, they want to be there.
Right.
So that's how things
location.
It's a location of where they want to be. Right. But I would say that for sure that 350 to 450 is the competitive market. It encompasses a lot of people, your downsizers, your first time home buyers, your move ups.
There's a lot there.
There's a lot there,
which means you got a lot more competition. You got a lot more eyes on it, which means you got to come in a little bit more competitive.
Especially if you're a first-time home buyer or a move-up, because those ones that are downsizing may have a ton of equity. They got cash.
Yeah, that's right. They got more flexibility.
So,
that makes it tough.
And they've already lived enough life to know that I don't want this rat race. I want this house, and I'm buying it.
Right.
Yeah,
they've been there. They've done that. They know what works. They know what doesn't, and they're okay with that.
Yep. They're just want to be done and get on with life. You know what I mean? So, and a lot of things come with that too. When you're looking at that whole investing aspect, and I'm investing with my primary home. Well, you kind of are. You're definitely helping to set your housing budget, right, as being a homeowner versus being a renter.
And it builds equity. Yeah. Anything that builds equity builds net worth. You want to make a good decision there. I like fast cars. They are a terrible thing to purchase. They are a terrible investment. I still own a fast, fun car. I'm not going to not do that. I'm not going to tell someone else not to do that, but it's also a depreciable asset. You shouldn't invest your money there.
Right.
A home is an investable asset. It does grow. It does appreciate. You want to be smart about what you do in there, of course, but also in the location. Find the right place from the get-go.
And it's a huge baseline for your financial freedom at some point in time in your life. I mean, just same thing that, that's why I hire you, right? You help me with the other baseline of my finances, and those baselines is what gives us stability and what gives us a better life.
Right. Well, I mean, Jim Brennan just, he comes on and he'll say, you know what? And Jim Brennan, for those, he's the owner of McKelvey Homes. He will tell you, it's the American dream. And of course, home ownership is the American dream and part of it, right? And it is something that people have kind of seemed to have lost ways. I mean, we were reading an article just talking about this. Average home buyer is now a lot higher than it used to be. The average age of a first-time home buyer. And it's crazy to me. And I don't know that it's necessarily because of where we are in the pricing on things necessarily. I do think that maybe inventory is a little bit different than it used to be. But I think some of that's just expectations and what we're willing to, we think what we want, and we're afraid of that kind of commitment in today's world in some ways.
Well, I mean, inflation could have something to do with it.
Sure.
It's a factor, right? But also incomes are higher.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
So where you run into the problem is inflation higher than what incomes increase?
And you could argue,
to an extent.
To some extent, of course.
There can also be a lot that goes on with things too now is through COVID and stuff, we had a lot of people that could then work remotely, right?
Right.
So people don't, I think a lot of the younger professionals are they're in a different era than we were. So
right.
they can move, they can stay somewhere for 2 or 3 years and then they can go try out another place if they want to,
right. Yeah, that's crazy. I couldn't do it. That's not me. I like where I want to establish my roots. This is where I want to be, and I want to keep growing there.
So sometimes I wonder if it is much that can they not afford because of inflation, or if it's a choice.
I think it's a choice,
and that's why we see so many of these apartments, coming up and everything.
Yeah,
apartments are everywhere, right? But
easy, mobile. Yeah,
they don't have to lay roots down
like
we were trained.
Yeah.
I mean, and home ownership isn't for everyone. I'll be the first one to say that. And if I meet with somebody, I meet with a first time home buyer. That's part of the first time home buyer consultation. We talk about inspections and values and how much a hot water heater costs and how much a sewer ladder line could. We go over these things because they don't have a landlord anymore,
right.
And just kind of depending where they're at in their life, in their career, maybe it's not the right decision at that moment.
Right. Right.
But that's when we need to get them to somebody like you to where they can start putting some money.
Well, you got to understand where you are. And I think that that's very important. And if that's a goal of yours, you need to make sure that you have the ability to set yourself up for that goal, but in the right time. I mean, real estate market is something that can grow over time, but just like any financial market, it does take time, and you can make a move at the wrong time, and it can cost you. Right. And you got to be cautious of that kind of stuff. Because if you're going to, move up in your career or decide to move to a different city, you don't know for sure where that real estate market's going to be at that point in time.
Correct.
So it can be challenging.
Yeah. I'd say another misnomer a lot of people have with their investment that they have, right? Because even when we're doing probate stuff, mom, dad passed away, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Now it's left to, 5, 7, however many siblings you have.
Sure.
Trying to just liquidate it and move on to, right? It's a sad enough time in their life. Could have been a home that they grew up in, and you'll get some where they say, hey, you don't, we'll go ahead. There's a convenience factor. I've got one I'm flipping right now. It's convenience factor. They really didn't want to do a whole lot of other stuff. We came up with a fair price. They got to leave whatever they wanted in it.
Right.
We took it. Make no bones about it. We're going to make some money on this house.
Sure.
Right. That's just
you're going to put some sweat equity into that too.
We're putting sweat equity in.
Yeah.
Well, more than sweat equity. We're revamping the whole house.
Yeah.
Right? Bringing it again. But you do that. It's a business. You're trying to make some extra money. There's an ease of doing business for them at that moment in time. That plan works best for them.
Sure.
Sometimes it may not be. You can't ever always go that, well, I don't want to go with a realtor because they're going to take commissions. Well, let's just be frank. There's commissions based on the profit that you're going to make in 2 or 3 months after you flip a house.
Absolutely. It's called time, and everything you do is worth that, in my opinion.
Time, stress, and money, and then it's about what you're netting.
Yeah.
You don't need to get caught up in the little things of commission percentages and whatnot. Yeah. No, it's very true, because if something doesn't happen, there's no transaction. The agent does a lot of free work there. So, and that gets overlooked in your industry quite a bit. So I'm a big believer you need to use a qualified professional to manage what you have from an asset base, whether that's financial, whether that's real estate. Your assets deserve that attention unless you're in that industry, because then you're your own advisor. Wonderful. You can be that way, but you better make sure you're in that industry and not taking the personal side of it into account as well. Right.
Like you moved not too long ago. Mm-hmm. You had some personal attachment to some things now. You're your own agent, but there's also some personal things to it too. It's tough to separate, isn't it?
Absolutely. and when I put my house on the market, as much love and money we put into it, which a lot of times it doesn't happen. There's always kind of been a saying that the 2 most overpriced homes is agent owned and for sale by owners.
Nice. Yeah, sure.
Right.
And that makes sense.
So doing it with me and what I was doing, especially since we flipped homes and, the rentals, I knew I had to take my owner hat off.
Right.
And I had to put my broker hat on and I had to price it accordingly.
Yeah.
And it paid off. It paid off listening to the broker Roy and not the owner Roy.
You have to separate. And I think that's not always easy to do when we're professionals in the space, but it's very important. Now, fortunately, that doesn't come up very often because we're not going to necessarily move. And I don't, I take my own advice, so I'm okay. I set myself up for long-term success. And but it's easy to get emotional, because it is emotional. Moving is a stressful deal.
I'll tell you, one of the things that was the most emotional is having a ton of people come through your house.
Uh-huh.
I'm just going to tell everybody, if you have a Ring camera or if you have cameras in your house, you're best to turn them off because there's a lot of people, if it's a great house, you're going to feel proud, but no matter how proud you are, there's going to be a few of them that you're like, get out of my house. I don't need to hear what you're saying about it. Yeah. So
I understand that. I could totally understand
that. Comes to the emotional aspect.
Of course it does. Sure. Yeah. So. It is really stressful having your house there's really two times where your house is going to look at its best right when you buy a house, and then the house that you're just leaving right when you sell it. Mm-hmm. I remember that. I was like, wow, my house looks really good right now. But we're leaving, but it's just funny. We get so attached to it and for right reasons, right? When we lived there, we created memories, raised our children there. There's a lot of memories attached to a home.
Yeah. When you made a right move is when I was in my house for 28 years and I raised my kids to be young adults there.
Yeah.
A lot of history. And I don't miss it one bit.
Well, there you go.
So that's when I know we made the right move.
That's right. Yeah. Because you bring everything with you that makes it a home. You really do.
Ultimately, it is.
Yeah.
Your home is your family. It's you. They're just boxes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We make it.
Yeah, and you want to make sure it's the right fit for you, the right area. And I think you hit on our location is important. I think you got to start with finding out the right location, where you want to be, right? Because that dictates a lot, especially from a budgeting perspective. There's hot areas. You mentioned a few of them, I think. Kirkwood. I think St. Charles County is pretty big still too, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Still moving farther west, though?
So that would probably be a question for McKelvey and the developers. I personally feel like it's slowing. The one thing I see and I feel like, especially too with the inflation and how much houses cost, I think you're seeing some of the young professionals coming back towards like North County and whatnot. Okay. I don't think they want to be in the sprawl too far out, and then they want to come to ball games or they want to come to Ballpark Village or whatever, things that they do, the hip stuff that they want to do. They're making money now. They want to go enjoy life, and I think that kind of plays into it a little bit.
So key locations are obviously going to be a big deal, but you're not seeing that a lot of that people that still want to move farther west that we were. That was a big deal about 4 or 5 years ago. It was like everyone wants to move west, and all of a sudden St. Charles wasn't west enough anymore.
I think as much as I hate this I-70 expansion, which is needed so bad. Oh
my gosh, that S-curve in Wentzville is long overdue, buddy.
Yeah. They just had to wait to start doing that until my daughter started going to Mizzou. So I tell her now, like, don't tell me when you're coming home, hon. I just want to see you when you're home. I don't want to. I'll be stressed out.
The good news, Roy, when she graduates, it'll be done.
It'll be done then. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Real helpful for you.
Yeah. But I do feel that that can be a big thing on the next level of expansion, right? Because if the traffic, most people have their jobs, right? They're coming home during rush hour. I think that'll play a big role in it.
It will. In our offices, we see some of the traffic start to get backed up there because we're not too far away from where that 70, 40, 64, 364 all kind of merge right there. And it gets backed up. It always has. It's worse now. I still don't understand how all of these roads that they're building up there are going to come together, but I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
Someone will figure it out.
Yeah.
Not me.
See, that's an emotional thing for me because I get so stressed when my daughter is going to school because I'm just like, man, it just.
All that construction, right?
And the semis. And, we need them. The truck drivers are the lifeblood of all of our consumables. They get taken everywhere. So you can't say don't, but it's just scary when you're trying to put everything into one.
Because it's emotion at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's Home buying, home selling, it's the same thing. That real estate market, it's an emotional part of your portfolio. It's an emotional part of your net worth. So as we wrap up here, Roy, give us some final guidance as to if you're trying to figure out what's the right move for you, what's your biggest, most important thing that you can tell people?
So if somebody's thinking that they're going to make a move, don't feel like you're wasting a professional realtor's time by just talking to them too early.
Yeah.
I think that it's a lot better to get together and formulate a plan early than it is to try and move fast, like next spring,
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that can come with it. It just depends on, what your goal is and where your equity lies and what kind of money you have where and how competitive you can be in certain things that you're going to be at. Are you going to do a recast? Do you have money that you can pull from an investment, a retirement investment that you can then replenish, later after you sell your home?
Right.
Do you have credit things that need to be worked on? And I'll tell you one thing that's been hitting a lot of the young market is these student loans coming out of deferment.
Oh, yeah.
Without them knowing.
Changes your budget.
Yeah. Well, it does more than that because a lot of them have been getting hit. And I don't know exactly how it goes, but I could see if you're in an apartment, you're not in a set place and you've moved or so you don't have the same mailing address.
Sure.
Or they send an email and it goes to your spam or junk, right? But they kind of find out as we start kind of looking into them and vetting them out on what their buying power is and to get them approved that, oh, wow, I'm 6 months behind on a student loan that just came out of deferment.
Yep.
And I've seen that tank credit scores by 100 points.
Yeah.
So it is always best to just talk to somebody. If you have a trusted real estate advisor, get with them, get their take on what's going on. It doesn't hurt to interview more than one real estate agent. So many people don't. And then tell them what your goal is. And then I think that's a true test to see what kind of agent you have is their network and how they help you formulate a plan.
Fair enough.
And from there, if you feel good about it, I think you got a good agent.
And that's what you want. You want the right person representing good all times.
Yeah.
So, Roy, thanks for the time today. I appreciate it, buddy.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
Folks, markets are one of those unique things. They change day to day. Seasonal, of course, but the real estate market has a different variable than other financial markets. There's an element of emotion attached. Why? Because it's our primary house. It's our home. It's where we raise our children, right? One of the things Roy talked about how was the difficult decision it was to move from the home that he had built with his family for 28 years. It's emotion. Emotion typically doesn't come into market conversations, but it does when it's about real estate. It does when it's about your house. And we have to understand that really what breaks down at the end of the day, we have the ability to take things with us when we move. It's important to understand that what makes a house a home isn't the home itself. It's the things that are with it. It's your family. That's the real legacy. I think that's the important message when it comes to the real estate market. You can always look at different things, the community, the aspect of where you want to be. The investment over time is wonderful, but sometimes you just got to move, right? It's the right time. It's the right progression, but you want to do it intelligently. You want to do it with the right thought process, the right information, be prepared, and also taking some of that emotion out. And as professionals, I can tell you that's the value in working with Roy. I've done it personally. He was my agent, and it's what I try to do to help clients all the time. Take emotion out of investing, because when you bring emotion into the markets, it does create chaos. And what we don't want to do is have a stressful experience. We want to enjoy our life. We want to enjoy our new home. We want to enjoy our retirement. These are the things that matter. And it's truly how you can make sure that that next move is the right one for you. Make that house a home, right? That's what's important. And when you're ready for your own conversation, let's talk. And until then, check us out. Follow us on Serenity Wealth Now socials for a little more information, insights, and some more fun with finance. We'll see you next week.
Serenity Now! Serenity Wealth Now can be found wherever you are at serenitywealthnow.com, on YouTube, Spotify, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and on NewsTalkSTL Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. When you're ready for your own conversation, schedule some time with Chris by visiting serenitywealthnow.com. That's serenitywealthnow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors.